Sheryl Swoopes, she can't not try to light a fire involving Caitlin Clark. She can't just be good. She's trolling Caitlin Clark again, this time by celebrating the arrival of Paige Becker.
Sheryl Swoopes recently made her most recent move following her WNBA termination. And she didn't even need to open her mouth to make this one loud. She rocked when she waltzed onto Gilbert Arenas' podcast. A t-shirt featuring Paige Becker was it a recommendation for a young, talented player? Not exactly. The message was a deceptive jab against Caitlin Clark that was skillfully veiled as support for someone else. Let's face it, Swoopes' constant efforts to minimize anything Clark says are the one constant in her life these days. Because, let's face it, some former celebrities seem to be more rattled by Caitlin Clark's increasing stardom.
With that being said, you big dummies, you getting paid now.
Right.
You asked me about Caitlin. If you're going to break a record, to me, if it's legitimate, you have to break that record in the same amount of time that that player said it.
Okay.
Right?
This isn't about making Paige better. This isn't about improving the game. Rather, it's about advancing the stale narrative that Caitlin Clark doesn't belong. And let's face it, it's becoming stale very quickly.
We saw her get replaced during the Fever game for the Dallas Wings commentary team last year because of words and the hate she had towards Caitlin Clark. And it was just one thing after another. I said yesterday, even Stephen A. Smith crushed her last year.
Caitlin didn't request attention. She deserved it. With record-breaking stats, unwavering excellence, and a poise that cannot be taught, she rose without political soundbites or media favors. Her game required her to get up. Just domination, no drama or antics. Please feel free to leave a CC for MVP in the comments if you're sick of seeing WNBA veterans execute gatekeeper maneuvers like this. We're not here for this because it's strategic, not just shady.
Because when she comes to the league, regardless of what team she goes to that has vets on that team, she probably ain't gonna get 40 shots a game.
Don't fool ourselves. This feud is not new. Long before Caitlin ever set foot on a professional court, Swoopes had her eye on Clark. This isn't a one-time miscommunication or an isolated soundbite. It's a campaign, a constant stream of remarks, critiques, and well-timed jabs meant to lessen the attention Clark has unquestionably earned.
Caitlin is fantastic, and I think she's going to have an incredible career in the WNBA.
Who's going to be the next face of the NBA? We don't get to decide that. The marketplace decides that. The people have chosen Caitlin Clark.
What is she doing wrong? What more do you want from Caitlin Clark? Seriously, what more do you want from her? She's focusing on the game. She lifted her team up, got them to the playoffs, won Rookie of the Year, and then also is denouncing racial tensions when she's asked about it. I'm sorry, I don't see anything more that Caitlin Clark should have done or could have done.
Swoopes has made her position painfully apparent, from giving Clark the side eye during her historic collegiate run to disparaging her contribution to the league before she was even drafted. You recall her attempt to downplay Caitlin's historic achievement in the NCAA tournament, or how her anti-Clark views led to her being fired from commentary duties. Yes, even Stephen A. Smith had to intervene and tell Sheryl that things were getting out of hand.
She was remarkable on top of the fact that she had to deal with so much hate when she got to the WNBA.
I can't imagine this young lady, I don't want to use hate, but despised. And people just having, she brought some on herself a little bit because she's cocky for a good reason.
Confident.
And I love that about her. But to watch the dynamics and the media, they had their narrative. And I was pleased and proud to see the narrative wasn't the truth.
That person isn't providing a hot take. That person has a purpose. When you criticize too loudly, the networks bench you. Yes, there is a problem. We're witnessing professional insecurity masquerading as analysis, not simply personal uneasiness. Swoopes fears that Clark may be superior, not that Caitlin will be good. Improved game, higher ratings, and a brighter future for the WNBA.
It was a stupid decision because it compromises what your ultimate goal is, which is to elevate the WNBA brand.
Some of the most memorable WNBA seasons, including Swoopes' own MVP run, have already been overshadowed by Caitlin Clark's rookie campaign. That is data, not a diss. However, rather than recognizing the emergence of a once-in-a-generation talent, Swoopes has made it her mission to become Clark's worst critic. It's due of control, not basketball. Swoopes dislikes that she is no longer in control of the story when Caitlyn's success changes it.
That's what a lot of these women are doing, is they feel like what we have done for this game, this young player has come into our game, and she's getting way more respect and all that stuff than we are. As she should. The young girl is a baller. The young girl has people watching because of the way she can shoot this basketball like Steph Curry. Steph Curry can't dunk. Steph Curry don't do none of that in the game. He can probably dunk by himself, but he don't really do none of that in the game. He is a shooter, and fans tune in to see Steph Curry.
What do you do, then, when you feel that your legacy is at danger? Poking the most talked about player in the game is the best method to get your name trending again, because you cling to relevancy.
Wake up and be mad. Never forget, in Swoopes' MVP season, she averaged less points, assists, and rebounds than Caitlin Clark's rookie season. Caitlin Clark's rookie year was quite a bit better than Sheryl Swoopes' MVP season.
Thus, we return to the t-shirt stunt. Swoopes appears wearing Paige Becker's name as if it were merely a fashion statement. She was really skilled at what she was doing. This was not a reference to a budding celebrity. It was shade. Cotton with the words, "I'll back a white player, but not that white player."
You know, Jax, you're absolutely right. And I was like, come on, you big dummies. Is she getting hyped? Yes.
Yeah.
But she was in the backyard. She was putting in the same time,
The same
sometimes
work.
maybe more than you were.
Right.
I can't fault her for what she was given.
So yes, the WNBA was growing before Caitlin Clark. Make that abundantly clear. But it was growing incrementally compared to the exponential growth you're seeing now.
Remember that Swoopes has never before shown Paige this much support. However, as soon as Caitlin Clark starts making headlines, Paige becomes the new poster girl. Take a break for us. The move was painfully obvious. Paige Becker's is in line with the WNBA's legacy elite's preferred ideology. Politically outspoken, socially conscious, and moldable, however, Caitlin does not meet the stereotype. She stays out of politics. She doesn't look for the reasons. She simply plays wonderfully, hard, and relentlessly.
What are you doing? Look at this. Just stays, man. Were y'all talking about Caitlin Clark at this very moment? She knows what she's doing.
And the fact that Caitlin Clark doesn't require their permission frightens people like Sheryl Swoopes. She is not required to participate in their game. She is completely revising the rules.
Now, I've got a theory. Oh, look at me. I'm not really racist because I'm wearing the white girl's shirt. You see that? But the girl from the Midwest, y'all just happen to hate her completely.
Therefore, let's not act as though this was about Paige. This was a t-shirt version of a drive-by subtweet. The oldest trick in the book is this one. Set women against one another to express something you're too scared to say directly. But here's the issue now. Fans are more intelligent. They're aware of Swoopes' past. The digs are visible to them. They've noticed the trend. Therefore, they don't sense support when she wears that clothing. They observe petty, they perceive projection. They observe that the face of women's basketball is being replaced by someone who is still not over.
The only problem with this is, and this has been the problem the whole time with the Paige-Caitlin comparison, Paige is an activist basketball player just like these old WNBA players that's been in the league. All right? They're shilling she's all up in all the social stuff. And so that's why they're letting her in. That's why they're cool with her.
And the worst part is that Paige Becker's is worthy of more than being a prop in someone else's personal feud. In her own right, she is an excellent player. She doesn't have to be used as a weapon against Caitlin Clark in order to support another argument.
The reason that Caitlin Clark is getting all of this attention is because she is an anomaly. She is a phenomenal player. And Paige Becker's is also a phenomenal player, but it just isn't the same. She doesn't do the same things. She doesn't do the things that have never been seen.
All of this ultimately comes down to one thing. No amount of criticism will be able to impede Caitlin Clark's success. You can wear as many shirts as you like, Sheryl, but the future, the fans, and the numbers are all wearing the same name, and that's Clark.
We want to see Caitlin Clark, and we want to see Paige Becker's.
Caitlin scored more points per game, but Paige was more efficient.
Let's get right to the point. Because Caitlin Clark is overrated, Sheryl Swoopes is not upset. Because Caitlin Clark is indisputable, she is furious. And more than anything else, that has revealed some serious weaknesses in those who used to dominate the conversation. The gatekeepers become anxious when a newcomer enters the room and begins to command attention without pleading for it or following the customary protocols. That's where Sheryl Swoopes and the former WNBA players are.
Enjoy watching her play, her style, her energy, her shot. Whether it's because her game mirrors one of the greatest players in the NBA in Steph Curry or not, I don't know what it is. It's an intangible thing, right? Yes, we can say she's a dog. Okay, there's been other dogs. Okay, she's a great shooter. There's been other great shooters. She has it. She's got the thing.
And for Caitlin Clark to have the awareness to drive the eyeballs there, you have to give her so much credit.
Wearing a Paige Becker shirt as if it were inconspicuous, Swoopes is performing stunts rather than acknowledging Clark's unmistakable influence. However, we all recognize it for what it is. A cheap deflection, a jab disguised as support that is both passive-aggressive, and it's an uncomfortable move rather than a celebratory one. The saddest part is that Swoopes believes fans are too unsophisticated to recognize the pattern, but we always do.
Most points by a point guard in a season in WNBA history. Most double-doubles by a rookie guard in WNBA history. Most points by a rookie in WNBA history. Most assists by a rookie in the history of the WNBA. First WNBA rookie to record 2 triple-doubles. First triple-double by a rookie in WNBA history. First triple-double in Fever history. The first player to be named WNBA Player of the Month and Rookie of the Month in the same month. First player in WNBA history with 20 or more points, 15 or more assists, and 5 or more rebounds in a game.
The unsettling reality is that Caitlin Clark has improved the WNBA more in a single season than many veterans have in their whole careers. It's not shadow. We're talking about sold-out games, attendance that breaks records, huge revenue spikes, and jersey sales that even the best NBA players can't keep up with. In areas the league has never reached, she is igniting passion. Before Clark came, many of the children in Iowa gyms had no idea what the WNBA was. That is impact, not hype. Furthermore, no t-shirt can take away that we must eventually be honest. This persistent disparaging of Caitlin Clark is more a result of others' anxiety about losing their relevance than it is of her shortcomings. Swoopes is unable to acknowledge that Clark is more than merely one of the greatest. She is already on par with them and even outperforming them in certain parameters. For someone whose identity is linked to being the pioneer, that is difficult to accept. However, being a legend does not entail destroying the next mountain climber.
What happened is Caitlin Clark, in her sophomore year and really in her junior year, just started excelling and doing things that nobody had ever seen a female basketball player do. Like, nobody had consistently been shooting these from the logo passes.
Let's be explicit as well. This is about how dangerous it is when someone succeeds without following the unspoken rules, not about Clark refusing to play politics. Clark is not requesting approval from legacy voices. Her identity isn't being shaped to conform to the ideological ideologies that have dominated the league's narratives. She simply plays, but in doing so, she's pressuring the WNBA's inner circle is experiencing a complete identity crisis. Every time she is fouled, you can see it. The physical play is not the focus of the coverage. The question is if she merits the attention. And let's not fool ourselves, the league would be showing off red carpets if this were any other rookie. However, they consider Clark as an outsider since she doesn't fit the stories they've spent years creating. Other players, meanwhile, can hurl shade, launch elbows, lose games, and still receive cheers. Why? Since they follow the rules.
There's so many players who cite you as an inspiration for their games, including Caitlin Clark, who's just absolutely a phenomenon in college. What's that next step like for her?
You know, next steps, gosh, in this generation, right? You have, I think, just so many more challenges of how to handle yourself as an adult, right? You go through that whirlwind of being a senior in college, transitioning into the W. And then the next step is how to become just an even better leader. And so much of leadership, I think, is listening and learning. And hopefully the more she can get connected to vets in the league and just different people and coaches and anyone that she can glean wisdom from of how to just continue to learn how to be as a connected and inspiring leader as she can be. And a lot of that is walking the walk and not just talking the talk. So she's already on her way, but continuing to have fun, continuing to anticipate how people are going to try to stop her and being prepared as she can be for next season.
Swoopes and those like her are not offering criticism out of concern or as a mentor. This is ego. This is in charge. It is frightening for those who laid the framework because Caitlyn's rise is changing the WNBA's power dynamics. But here's the thing, scoffing at the waves won't stop a rising tide. Either you get washed away or you learn to surf. Let's return to the topic of numbers. Clark's debut season stats exceeded expectations rather than just impressing. She is receiving more awards than ESPN can keep up with, including Player of the Week, Rookie of the Month, and fan-voted All-Star. However, the attention keeps going to her demeanor or her lack of activism, as though being a great athlete suddenly comes with requirements. It's absurd. Caitlin Clark has excelled in every aspect of the game and owes nothing to anyone else.
I remember when the WNBA started. I was thrilled. I was a fan. I couldn't believe it was an opportunity for me, a 5'2", 97-pound girl, to go play professional basketball. That wasn't going to happen for me, but the idea that it existed was special to me. And now she's offering that to not just little girls, but little boys as well. She's spread the fan base.
Are not yet prepared to take center stage. And Swoopes continues to choose the bitter path rather of coaching the next generation of excellence. The torch is not being passed by her. Fans aren't blind, but she's protecting it like it's her retirement check. The pattern is evident, and it appears increasingly desperate every day.